Well, hey everybody, Jeff Williams here with AskJeffWilliams.com. Yeah, I know I'm still wearing my Buckskin Joe outfit. It's like 110 out here at 60% humidity, and I'm baking alive. I feel like a big old baked potato without the tinfoil. Okay, what are we doing today? Well, today I got something special for a couple viewers out there. They wrote in and said, Jeff, could you please make a video on how to effectively sample so we can find the gold too? Yes, I can. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take you out in the desert here if we don't melt, and I'm gonna show you how to sample. Now, mind you, that there are different techniques for different locations. So one sampling technique ain't gonna cover it all. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how to sample at some of these old mines to get the gold. So come on, let's go. Woo-wee. I know, it's hot. Anyway, you see all those different layers of strata up there? You got black layers, this is black sand or magnetite, and sometimes the gold travels with that. I know this isn't the mine I was telling you about, but I thought you might want to see this because this is another form of sampling, and you're gonna want to know this if you want the gold. So come on, let's go! Whew, it's a hot one, I tell you what. All right, come here, take a look at this. I want to show you something. Okay, now, I remember I told you that there's different types of sampling. We're going to the mine. On the way to the mine, I saw this. You can see the layers of black sand here in the strata and the iron, rusty iron in here. And you can see the different layers. There's a silt layer right there, and there's a fine gravel. And down here, look at this. You got all this larger conglomerate gravel. See that? Well, in between these zones here is what's called a contact zone. And especially that right there. See all that nice black sand, iron oxide? And if it were what we were coming after, I'd come out and I'd dig that all out right there, because I'm sure down here around the bottom of this contact zone where these two layers come in contact, that's where the gold's gonna be settling. But you can see the different layers of strata up here on the wall and all the different flood layers. And what you wanna do when you're sampling this type of material, which is called a bench, is what you're gonna do is you're gonna try to get into the heavier, thicker material, and where these contact zones meet, all these other different layers of strata, that's where you're going to be pulling your sample. So you're gonna get your bucket underneath there like that, and you're gonna sample that, get it in there, and then you're gonna mark it, because you wanna make sure you mark it, because if you don't, you're gonna forget where it came from. And then when you go to get the gold and come back, you're gonna say, I can't remember, like so many other stories I've read. But we're gonna keep on heading up to the mine, because this isn't what I wanted to show you, but it's a good example of how you determine where the pay layers are at in these different layers or flood layers of strata that they call. So come on, let's go. Woo-wee. Okay, so, yeah, I know, it's killing me. It's hot. So, if you see in the background, see all that mine dump out there? Woo, that's a lot of dirt. You see all that gypsum in there? Anyway, this is an open pit mine, and they pulled out a lot of magnesium, or manganese, I should say, and processed it for magnesium. Now, according to minedat.org, they pulled out a whole bunch of copper, lead, gold, and silver as a minor product. And of course, the major discovery was in magnesium or manganese oxide. That's what all that black stuff is. So, if you want to know what's in a mine, I'll put up a link right here, minedat.org. Anyway, so we're gonna go over there, and I'm gonna pull samples all along the bottom, and then we'll take it back to the house and see if we got gold. So come on, let's go. I tell you what, it's getting heavier by the day. Okay, now, I got something I gotta tell you that's really important, so bear with me on this one. Okay, if you're gonna be doing a lot of samples out there, and I mean lots and lots of different buckets, I highly recommend that you put numbers on each one of your buckets. Take a look at that. See that? Number 1. And this one's really full. You can see that? Number 2. Okay, now, why is that? Well, the reason being is because after a while, you're gonna forget what bucket came from where. And you're gonna wanna think, oh my God, I got gold, but don't know where it came from. So, I highly recommend you put numbers on your buckets. Also, what you're gonna wanna do get yourself a good quality map book like this. That way, when you put the numbers on the buckets, you can go to the space that you're at, the map, and you can write it right in here and say, bucket 1 came from the bottom of the hill. Bucket 2 came from the top of the hill. And you can draw it in there too. Don't forget, you're also going to want to put in there that this bucket came from the very bottom by the bedrock. This one came from the 3rd level in the strata. Trust me, you're going to want to do that. Something else I got to tell you about is you're going to want to go to Google Earth, and you're going to want to print out actual photographs of the places that you're going, because that way you can actually see the places where you sampled, and you can draw circles around it like we do. And you say, bucket 1 came from this zone right here, and this is what we found: coarse gold, fine gold, medium gold, no gold. And you know exactly what's in that ground, so you're not digging for nothing. So I highly recommend that you keep a detailed log of what you find, where you find it, and how deep you find it in. Because one day you're gonna find a whole bunch of gold while you're test panning one of these buckets, and you're gonna say, oh, I need to go back where this stuff came from. But you're not gonna know because you didn't write it down. Okay, now, something I gotta talk about is some people out there only do this for a hobby. They find a little bit of color in the pan and they get all excited. Other people do it because they want to try to make money at it, which I can't blame them in today's economy. So, I'm gonna talk about how can you make money at this, and how do you know when you're on something that will make money. Now, if you wanna make money at this, you're gonna need at least 100 specks per 3-gallon bucket. Now, when I'm talking specks, I'm talking 40 mesh specks. Now, if you go all the way down to 200 mesh specks, woo-wee, you're gonna need a whole bunch of gold to make an ounce. So, we're gonna talk about 40 mesh, and then we're gonna go up to 200 mesh specks. Now, if you're working with gold that's in the range of 40 mesh, you're gonna need at least 16,000 colors to make a troy ounce. That's a lot. Now, if you're working with 200 mesh gold, man, you'll be shoveling all day long to get 40,000 specks of gold. So you're gonna need 100 specks per 3-gallon bucket if you wanna make any kind of profit on this. If not, then keep it as a hobby, because that's all it ever be. Now remember, we're only talking about plaster sampling. I haven't got into load sampling yet, because that's a whole other category, and we'll go over that in another video. But right now, we're gonna pan down what we got in these 2 buckets right here, so we can see if we got any gold. So come on, let's go. Woo-wee. Wow, would you look at all that? See that? Woo-wee, that's gypsum. That's what you make wallboard out of. See how brittle that is? It's all fibers too. Hand that out. Let's see what we got, come on. Woo-wee. Now, I've already gone to pan everything down so you can see the gold, because I know that's what you want to see, right? I want to see the gold too. Now, I had a gentleman ask me once, Jeff, how do you get the gold out of the pan into a little jar? You got to use what's called a snuffer bottle. You're going to snuffer it out. Now, they make all different types of sizes out there. They make the large one, they make the king size one, and then they make the little itty bitty one. I don't like this one because it doesn't have enough vacuum to it, so get rid of that one. The big one, I love it. It's got lots of suction to it. I love that one too. This is the one I've been using for a long time. I like this one, but the tip broke off because it's made of plastic. Gotta get rid of him too. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put up some still photographs of all the gold we got out of those 2 buckets. And I'm gonna show you what it looks like. So come on, let's go! That's pretty. That's real pretty. You gotta love gold. If you don't love gold, then your heart just ain't pumping. So anyway, before I go, I want to tell you one more thing. These 3-gallon buckets, you can find them at Lowe's hardware store. I like them because they got the little foam pad here, and as you get older, it's easy on your back. Woohoo! Okay, so anyway, I hope you've enjoyed today's episode of finding gold out in the old mine dumps and in the creek beds. And if you like today's episode, please rate, share, and subscribe. And as always, leave me a comment because I really like to know what you guys think about all this. And don't forget, if you really like it, you can buy me a cup of coffee by going to our channel's page and hitting the donation tab. Yeah! So anyway, until next time, this is Jeff Williams with SJeffWilliams.com saying you want to find gold, but you haven't got a clue. You just keep sampling the ground till you find some AU.